welcome back to another episode of the Warrior Mind Podcast. I'm Gregg Swanson, your mental strength coach, guide, and mentor. To find out more about mental strength and Warrior Mind coaching, please visit us at www.warriormindcoach.com, and our world-famous blog can be found at www.warriormindcoach.com/blog. Well, here we are, episode 100. I can't believe I've been doing this for 100 episodes, and I hope that you've been able to listen to a great deal of them. It's been a real honor and a privilege to be able to sit here and provide information that I hope will help create mental strength in you, to create a warrior mindset that you'll be able to go out and achieve great personal success, however you define that. That's my intention, is to give what I can through the podcast, keep it short enough where it creates some thought in you, gives some gems, and then allow you to take this information and go out. So here we are at 100 episodes. And speaking of giving, today's topic is going to be about giving. Giving without expecting anything in return. Many folks, and there's a lot of the average individual, will give at some level thinking about something they might get in return. Well, I'll give this. They may not trade, but that's the mentality. They're going to trade their time or money, and they're thinking, okay, what am I going to get out of this, as opposed to truly giving and for the pleasure of giving. Now, everything we do has some sort of a positive benefit to us. We don't do anything without some sort of benefit to us, and the feeling of pleasure of being able to help somebody, that's the reward. That's what we get when we can elevate our consciousness and our awareness to a higher level of mental strength and purpose. It's when we can get to that level of just giving and giving and giving, and just give for the joy of giving, not give with this unconscious thinking, okay, if I tithe, then I should get back 10%, so I better go to church, or I better go give this charitable organization some money because my business isn't doing so well, so let me tithe a little bit, or let me give some to charity, and then I'll be able to get some back. We may not think of this consciously, but that is some of the motivations behind it. But when we can give, and give from a place of gratitude, give from a place of pleasure, of joy, of love, compassion, and just give and say, here's my time, here's my clothes, here's my money, here's whatever we give. And it doesn't have to be money all the time. Our time often is more valuable than our money. So when we do just volunteer to help out with something and give it, and then just and leave and come home, and that's it. Often the universe will reward us, will give us back that many times over. The motivation, though, in the giving is for the pleasure of giving, that pleasure that we derive, the helping of the organization, the person, the individual, the animals, whatever that might be, the giving of money. When we can give that and feel so grateful and gratitude about it, just the giving, without an attachment to it, without even the little bit of expectation about getting anything back, not even a tax write-off. When we can do that, then we are elevated ourselves to such a high level of consciousness that by the law of the universe, the universal laws are there, you're put into motion, and eventually we do get back more than what we give. It may not be in the same shape or form, but we do get back. And again, when I'm talking about giving, we may give without expecting anything back, but then in the back of our mind we go, okay, I can write this off my income tax, I can write this off my income tax, I can write this off my income tax. And that's a form of getting, right? We get a deduction. Well, I'd rather give it to this charity than the government. Well, that's not coming from a pure place of gratitude. What if you couldn't deduct anything? How much would you be giving? That's a great question to think about. If you couldn't deduct anything off your income tax, even your time, because you can deduct your time at points, but if you couldn't deduct anything, if you didn't get anything, if you knew you wouldn't get anything returned from the specific organization that you're giving to, how much would you give? That's where the top achievers, the higher consciousness, just gives. They don't even think about the income tax. They don't think about getting anything else in return. They don't think about any of it. They just give and give and give and give. And we are all been programmed to take and take and take, or expect something. I'm not going to give anything unless I get something back. I'm not going to do this unless I do that. Are you a charitable organization? Okay, I'll give you so I can I get a receipt so I can deduct it off my income tax? I'm not saying that those things aren't good to do. If we're allowed to do it, then great. But it shouldn't be the driving force. When we want to elevate ourselves to a higher level of consciousness, those shouldn't be the driving force of why we give. That is a byproduct of why we give. Why we give is we want to give from a place of abundance. See, when we give without expecting anything in return, we're telling our unconscious mind that we live in an abundant universe, that we can give and give and give, and there's an endless supply, and our unconscious mind will move from a fear-based consciousness to a love-based consciousness, an abundance-based consciousness, when we can give without that expectation. And when we give that, our vibration changes, and we start to attract into our lives the people, the situations, the circumstances that support that abundant mindset. But we have been programmed so much to live in fear and poverty and scarcity that we don't want to give unless we're going to get something back in return, whether it's a tax deduction, whether it's a trinket, whether it's something else. Yes, there are a lot of people out there that do give at this level, and all I'm bringing this up today is because at some level I feel that I've been giving, or I hope I've been giving, through the podcast, through my blogs, and I have a long way to go myself with my consciousness, and it's a great feeling to get emails back. I don't expect anybody to do it, but I love to get emails and saying, hey, this podcast helped me out, this blog helped me out, this helped me out. It helps me know that I'm making a small difference in the world, and that is wonderful. And what the point of this podcast is how can you go through this next week, and what can you give without attachment, without expecting anything in return? What can you do? What can you give? And these are even simple things, right? It's holding the door open. This is, chivalry if you're a guy out there. But even these things, you can give a smile and not even expect it in return. You can give a compliment. You can give money, sure, but you can give there's so many things that we can give and not get it back in return. You hold the door open. Do you expect the person to say thank you, or you hold the door open just to help them out? They may be in their own world, not knowing what's going on, not even noticing you opening the door for them, so they just would walk through not even knowing it. It's not personal, but do you open the door because you want to open the door, because you want to give that person a little bit of ease in walking through the doorway? Great, then just do it and then walk away. If you want to give a compliment, turn around, walk away. You don't have to stand there and get, oh, thank you so much. Just give and then move on. And that's what can you do this week to give, to help somebody else, some other organization, some animal, some child, some mother, some father, feel a difference, that there is an abundant universe, and that universe is being represented by you, that you are the giving part of that universe. What can you do this week to say that, yes, the universe is loving, it's compassionate, it is giving, and I'm going to demonstrate that this week by giving a compliment, by giving money, by giving my time, by giving my love, by giving my attention to somebody when they're talking to me. This is all part of giving. When we give somebody our attention, our full attention, when they are talking to us, That is the gift that most people never ever receive. During a conversation, most time the person listening is thinking about what they want to say next, and they jump in and they don't ever listen to that person. So can you give 100% attention to what the other person is saying? That is still giving. These are all part of giving without expecting anything in return. And again, we've been programmed so much to give with the expectation of getting something back, or we don't give at all. And I'm just asking you with this 100th episode of the Warrior Mind podcast to really consider, what can you give of yourself, give to somebody else? How can you represent, how can you reprogram your mind this week and represent and demonstrate that there is a giving, loving, all-abundant, all-providing universe out there? Because remember, every facet, every compartment of your mind is to be programmed by you. And unless you take your rightful responsibility and begin to program your own mind, the world